Imagine bringing home a cute little child thinking it is your long-lost daughter, only to find out that she, in fact, is a grown, sort of psychotic woman who has a disturbing crush on you. What some people out there may find alluring, you sick guys, I certainly do not. And even if all of that sounds crazy, this is in fact inspired by a real-life event. Yep, indeed, there are grown-up people roaming around imitating children that plan to creep up on you pretending to play hide and seek. So let us have a look at this strange story, figure out better ways on how to survive, and, of course, beat the imposter child in the movie Orphan First Kill. Let's go! It is the year 2007 and the country we're in is Estonia. Here, a 31-year-old woman named Lena lives in a psychiatric ward. Lena has a rare genetic disorder that prevents her body from aging normally. So, although she looks like an adorable, innocent child, she could not be further away from that statement. Today though, an art therapist named Anna enters the ward and is carefully checked from top to bottom. I want you to remember this. She looks nervous, and to be fair, I would be too if that was my first day on the job. It is obvious that she is at unease, and instincts, my friends, don't lie. On her very first day, she gets a dreadful surprise. One of the most dangerous patients has escaped from her cell. Anna is therefore told to stay put until the patient is found. The only catch, she is all by herself. Yep, there is no way I would do something like that. I would position myself in the brightest area, arm myself with anything I could grab, be it a pen, and most importantly, I would find myself at least one other person so we can tag team together and 619 the psychopath back into a straitjacket if worst comes to worst. Luckily, however, Lena, the patient, is found a short while later, but she is a woman of determination and sheer in will. This woman continues by seducing a perverted guard and lures him into her cell. The guard, one of those freaks that somehow get so horny that they lose all common sense, enters her cell without a second thought. Yep, good luck on that, pal. I don't think that is a good idea. Anyway, she smashes his head against the wall and continues her escape. So far, to be honest, I am rooting for that chick. So Lena takes the guard's ID and easily makes her way out of the asylum. Now remember how much the art therapist Anna was checked through before she got in? Didn't that give the impression that the security is on high level here? Well, turns out this is all bogus. Lena easily makes her way out of the asylum and comes across Anna's car. Now Anna, being away from her car and having been stupid enough to keep her car unlocked, why would you do that anyway? Gives Lena the chance to sneak in. And because all of that isn't silly enough, when Anna comes back, she enters her unlocked car, doesn't check if a psychopath has entered, and drives off with Lena inside. So what do we learn here, folks, huh? Never leave your car unlocked, especially in front of a mental asylum where a murderer is on the loose. Now Lena, being the murderous lunatic we are all starting to love, doesn't hesitate for a second and kills Anna with a rod. She then uses her childish looks to scheme a grand plan to escape Estonia for good. And honestly, it is a pretty darn good plan. She finds a picture of a missing child named Esther, who fortunately, or unfortunately, looks just like her. Now you already know what's gonna happen next. She deliberately sets herself up to be found by the authorities, then tells them that her name is Esther and that her parents live in America. And just like that, the authorities believe her and she is pretty much in the clear. Now obviously there are many things wrong with this, right? There is no way the mental asylum from where she broke out from wouldn't contact nearby police stations. And Estonia, with only roughly 3 million citizens, is a pretty tiny country with a pretty tiny population. It's not easy to stay low-key unless you escape into the woods, which they have plenty of, but she doesn't do that, right? And as a psychotic murderer on the loose, I don't think it should be that easy for her to escape, but let's just be it as it is. Now in America, the real Esther's parents, Trisha and Ellen, have never come out of grief of their lost daughter. So when they come to know that their daughter has been found, they decide to take her in again without running any background checks. Now wouldn't you at least question why the hell your daughter is in Estonia? I mean, it's quite out there, right? I understand that the grief-stricken parents want to believe that the found child is theirs, but taking in anyone who just claims to be their child is a little extreme, isn't it? It would have been better to request some documents, have a DNA test be made, figure out how your daughter ended up in Estonia, and so on. There is so much to do here and so much to question that this is all quite a bit ridiculous. So without any problem, Esther, aka Lena, boards a plane with Trisha to reach the States. Now while on the plane though, Trisha notices that her daughter is acting super weird. She struggles remembering things from her past. And this, my friends, is a massive red flag right there. Once they arrive though, Alan, Esther's dad, wholeheartedly welcomes Lena as his daughter, but their son Gunnar is less welcoming. On top of that, a short while later, Esther is taken to a psychiatrist. And no matter how clever or intelligent the person is, lying in front of a shrink is not easy, right? The psychiatrist immediately recognizes that she's lying, and the fact that Esther is quite high functioning for someone who had been kidnapped, which apparently is the story that has been told to justify her appearance in Estonia, isn't normal either. But Trisha brushes off her concerns and just continues with whatever, with a family life, I guess. Well, we all know what's gonna happen. One may be naive or emotional enough to take in anyone who looks like their child, but neglecting the concerns of professionals is pure stupidity, right? So, meanwhile, Esther notices that she is being spied on by a police officer on top of that and is put on her toes. After reaching home, Alan takes her to his art studio where she makes an amazing portrait of him. Here, I was surprised while Alan was not surprised by the fact that his daughter has become a real artist. I mean, it's insane how good she became, right? It should be also ringing the bells in my opinion. At the same time, based on her mannerisms, it becomes clear that Esther had developed a crush on Alan, which basically is her dad, at least in her story. And Trisha notices that as well. Now the policeman, who is onto Lena, finally comes to their house to check up on her, but she already knew that he was suspicious and decided to come up with a plan. So, at night, she steals as much jewelry and valuables as she can and decides to flee. But when she sees Alan being almost completely obsessed with him at this point, she decides to stay. Now many people would find this disturbing, which it kind of is, but even though she looks like an 8-year-old, we know for a fact that she is 31 in reality, right? So the next day, Alan and Trisha had some ball to attend, but Alan looked so handsome that Trisha decided to have a quick, sexy time with him, right? As they were going down to do the deed, Esther peeked into their room and got jealous. Yep, she ripped off Trisha's dress, and their sesh obviously ended in a not quite nice way. But more than just Esther peeking into the room, I am kind of surprised that they didn't even lock the door. I mean, you got children at home, you should lock the door, no? Now anyways, the parents go out for a date night and put Gunnar in charge of babysitting his sister, but instead of looking after her, he throws a party at his house. Then the policeman who was spying on Esther shows up and gathers her fingerprints to continue his investigations. At this point, Esther knows that she is about to get busted, so she does what everybody else would do as well. Goes to his house to kill him. Well, meanwhile, Trisha comes back and looks for her, but as we now know, she is on her own mission right now. So Trisha is able to explore her supposed daughter's room, where she finds her diary. Now this diary is so confidential that Esther won't let anyone touch it, but now she has left it on a table to be discovered by Trisha, and well, I guess she was not as smart as she should have been, right? Now she opens Esther's diary because that's what you do as a concerned mother, neglecting the traumatizing power of reading your daughter's privacy, and finds out the truth. She even finds a picture of her and Ellen with her face crossed out, showing Lena's evil little kink. Now I don't think I need to explain why it isn't a good idea to have a diary entry of your murders, because that's probably not a good idea. I mean, after everything Lena has done to get where she is right now, only to be found out by her diary is just messed up. She would never do a mistake like this if you ask me, but that's what happens in the movie, so we roll with this for now. Her mother, or Trisha, finally understands that whoever this woman is not her daughter, and whatever this woman's intentions are no good. At the same time, the policeman analyzes the evidence and comes to the conclusion that Esther is not Esther, but Lena. So the walls are closing in for Esther at this point. Unfortunately though, this is also the moment when our little lunatic gets to him and finishes him off with a kitchen knife. Well, I don't know, but it looks like no one in this movie bothers to lock their door. I mean, she literally enters this dude's house, stabs him with a kitchen knife, and ends his life. This dude is a grown policeman. There is no way this could have happened. And I mean, Esther, even though she's 31, she got a body of an 8-year-old, right? So, I don't know, man. Now, this violent stabbing doesn't finish him completely, by the way. She leaves the scene without actually killing the man, which is a terrible blunder. But in reality, this doesn't even matter because someone else joins the party and shoots the policeman dead once and for all. This, my dear friends, is an insane plot twist. It's actually quite amazing. Guess who the murderer was? It is our very own Trisha. Yep, I didn't see that coming either. You see, Trisha ain't naive at all. She is even smarter than her little girl, Lena, or Esther, however you want to call this chick. Lena has a habit of shocking everyone, but now it is time for her to be shocked herself. Because after killing the poor guy, both Trisha and Lena sit down and discuss the peculiar turn of events. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, so let me start. Trisha explains that she and Gunnar, her son, knew from the very start that she wasn't Esther to begin with. How? It's because that little girl never disappeared. Gunnar killed Esther during a sibling fight, right? So Trisha did what every other loving mother would do. She threw her dead daughter into something like a dungeon and successfully covered up the murder committed by her own son. Yep, that escalated quickly, dude. So at this point, she also throws the policeman's body into the same place, leaving us wondering how easy it is to murder someone, cover it up, and continue life as if none of that ever happened. Also, why the hell would you take in a person claiming to be your daughter when you already knew that she isn't? Well, the answer to this question is the following. You see, after the real Esther's death, Trisha told Ellen that she had disappeared, and the poor guy believed it. Now, this man obviously is the most innocent victim of this whole story. Now, Lena, herself a complete freak, is shocked by this turn of events, right? She tells Trisha that if she lets her go, she won't ever show her face to her again. But nope, Trisha has other plans. That's right. You see, ever since Esther's reappearance, her husband became his old self again. Now, I think we can all understand the sentiment here, right? I mean, you kind of miss your ex-husband, or he probably changed for the worse after his daughter's disappearance and such, so it's understandable, right? But Lena is still a cold-blooded murderous psychopath, and not someone you just want to live with under the same roof. I mean, how would you ever be able to sleep again? It's not just a dumb idea, it's a ridiculously insane idea. But guess what? It's literally what happens. Trisha is adamant about keeping her around. Now, since Lena has messed up with the psychiatrist and the shrink found out that she was lying, Trisha knows that this could lead to a future problem. So, to solve this potential threat, Trisha makes another appointment with her, and both her and Lena convince the psychiatrist that Lena is in fact Esther. Surprise, surprise. Now, this is the start of psychological games between a fake mother and a fake daughter, which could be a movie on its own, to be honest, and I would definitely watch it. Now, since Trisha is an evil genius and knows that sleeping in a house with Esther is probably not a good idea, she mixes sleeping pills into Lena's food to make her pass out first, which, I mean, you just slip once, you know? But Lena isn't such a fool and skips the meal. Looks like she's also not the dumbest person. Now, meanwhile, Ellen invites Lena to his studio where they spend some quality time. Around the same time, Trisha notices Lena's feeling towards Ellen and gets jealous. Yeah, jealous of an adopted, childlike psychopath. Can you believe that? She therefore teases Lena with telling her all the horny stuff she will do to her husband the following night, which, dear lord, is so cringe and out there that I don't even know how to respond to that. So, this family is messed up. Yep. And I thought my family was messed up, but this is crazy. Obviously frustrated, Lena tries to kill Trisha and Gunnar by pushing them in front of a train, but a railway official messes up her plan. So, knowing that Trisha is going to punish her, obviously, just tried to kill her, Lena tries to escape, but is brought back by another policeman that caught her. Now finally, Trisha decides that enough is enough, right? And with the help of Gunnar, tries to kill Lena and stage it as a suicide. But Lena, on the other hand, is also a skilled psychopath and somehow escapes, only to come back for Gunnar, who she kills with his own fencing sword. Devastated, Trisha now brawls with Lena in the kitchen, which leads to the house being set ablaze. Both of them, instead of leaving a burning house that will likely kill you soon, decide to scuffle their way up to the rooftop and continue trying to take down one another. Now Alan comes home and finds both his daughter and his wife dangling on a roof, imagine the shock, and runs up to help them. But sadly, he has time to save only one. And who does he decide to save? Of course, his loving daughter. He lets Trisha fall to a gruesome death, and the Father of the Year award goes to Alan. Let's go. Alan hugs his so-called daughter, but then her fake teeth fall out, revealing the yellowish teeth of a 31-year-old who has seemingly never gone to a dentist. Ooh. Well, Alan gets flabbergasted, finding that the little girl isn't his daughter but a grown-up lunatic, and reacts badly. So Lena does what she is good at. She pushes Alan off the roof, and with this, a loving family reached its end at the hands of a childlike murderer. Of course, authorities know none of this and find another loving home for Lena to burn down. And this was the movie of this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I did enjoy the plot twists. They were kind of insane. I haven't seen something like this in a while. So, see you next week. Take care and binge another one.